Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are St. Louis.
Louis, the Washington Nationals, one of the hottest teams in the game. They come to the Gateway City to take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals at home against Washington since 2008. They have been a BJC healthcare difference maker. They've gone 15-2. Best home record against an opponent since '08 against Washington. Along with the lefty, Rick Horton, my name is Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals Baseball. Could have been a great trip with a win a couple of nights ago against Tampa Bay, but overall, very good trip. We'll see if it carries over tonight.
Was not great, but it was certainly a good trip, Dan. And the starting pitching had a lot to do with that. They were terrific on this last road trip. They're going to need to be good against this very tough Nationals team.
And the Cardinals get some good news in their lineup. He's right back at them. It's Matt Adams. Good numbers against Washington in his career. Baseball coming up. to start a 10-game homestand. And it all begins with a weekend series against the Washington Nationals. St. Louis will turn to their big right-hander, Lance Lynn, who's looking to win number 7. The Nationals counter with Jordan Zimmermann. He's 5-2 this year. It's two teams thinking playoffs in 2014, squaring off tonight in the first of 3. The Cards, the Nationals. First pitch next on Fox Sports Midwest.
Got it.
By Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. It's Chevy Truck Month. Visit your Mid-America Chevy dealers to take advantage of Truck Month offers on the all-new Chevy Silverado. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. What an absolutely picture-perfect day, now evening here in St. Louis. It is gorgeous here at Busch Stadium as we begin a 10-game homestand. The Home Run Challenge. We start tonight. Once again, every home run in this game raises $6,500 for prostate cancer research. And you can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. The Washington Nationals, one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. They're 5 games above the 500 mark, and they lead the National League East by a game. Denard Span, the speedster, at the top of this lineup. Then Anthony Rendon, Jason Worth, Adam LaRoche, Ryan Zimmerman, who's in left field, Ian Desmond, Danny Espinosa, Jose Lobaton, and the pitcher Jordan Zimmermann. This lineup will face our Kia starter, and it all begins with Lance Lynn here tonight.
Yeah, Lance had a little bit of a control problem in his last outing. He walked 4, but he did strike out 6. He only gave up a couple of runs in 5 innings of work. But again, the pitch count got high too early. Cardinals need him to go deeper here today. And you are absolutely right, Dan. The sky is blue, the air is crisp, and a very good team is in town here to face the Cardinals.
Should be a fun homestand.
You bet.
3 here with Washington. Mets in town beginning on Monday, and then 4 with the Philadelphia Phillies. So the Cardinals get a crack at the National League East during this homestand. They start play 5.5 games back of Milwaukee, and the Brewers have their largest lead since May 13th. That also was 5.5 games. First pitch is popped up off the bat of Denard Span. Johnny Peralta is there for the first out. A look at the Dobbs defense as we go around the horn. Matt Holliday, John Jay, and Alan Craig in the outfield. Matt Carpenter, Johnny Peralta, Colton Wong, and good to see big old Matt Adams down there at first base. Yachty behind the plate. And the Cardinals have the second fewest errors in the National League with 34 this year.
Matt Adams is back. Great to see him. He just had a couple of games down in AAA, and Cardinals hoping that he will be instant offense.
Anthony Rendon. Hard not to like this young player that has emerged this season. Everyday third baseman with Ryan Zimmerman dealing with an injury. Also can play second base. He's hitting .272. He's popped 9 home runs and driven in 34.
With most guys that have power, you'll notice the bat speed of Rendon. That really is what sets him apart. He gets his hands to the ball as quick as anybody in this lineup. You think you can pound him in, Dan, but you better be careful inside.
Lance Lynn throws a ton of fastballs, third most in baseball, nearly 80% of the time now. The 1-2.
Even though Span made one out with one pitch, I'm told that the Nationals have really elevated their offense, partly because they're working counts deeper. You know, that's going to be something we'll watch with Lance Lynn, who tends to go deep anyway. But the Nationals have almost been like the Oakland A's, looking for that 3-2 count every time.
It's twice now Lynn has gone to that outside corner and has not gotten the call. Full count here on Anthony Rendon. There are certain teams, when they look at free agents, they're looking at guys that take a lot of pitches, work the pitcher. And Rendon hits a line drive out to left. Holliday is there, 2 down. Our broadcast tonight is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching tonight in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, Japan. Welcome and thank you to all the men and women of our armed forces. Jason Worth is hitting .304 on the road, 10th best in the National League. Leads Washington with 72 hits this year, and his average overall at .293, and he looks at strike one. Talking there with our home plate umpire, Marty Foster. Jason Worth has been in the league, it seems like, forever. Very good player with the Dodgers. Part of a championship team with the Philadelphia Phillies. Signed a huge contract to come to Washington. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
And the Nationals took a lot of abuse for that deal when they made it. You thought, well, this is guy's kind of a 4th or 5th best player on the Phillies. Very good club at the time, but they saw his potential to be a guy that hits third in this lineup, drives in a lot of runs, hits home runs, and he has not disappointed.
2-2.
They're trying to get that outside corner you mentioned earlier, and finally gets one. Maybe off the plate, but Marty Foster said, well, you're going to keep throwing it there? I'll give you one.
And he got it. Here's a 2-2 pitch from Lance Lynn. Worth doesn't chase.
But I can't give you that one.
When he was originally drafted, he was a catcher, was Jason Worth. Such a good athlete that he moved to the outfield, played center field for a while, and now the everyday right fielder with the Washington Nationals. The 3-2 on its way. Broken back. Slowly hit left side. Gloved by Carpenter. And the stretch by Adams stays on the bag for the out. With a couple of lefties at the top of the lineup with Matt Carpenter, the everyday leadoff man. Then Colton Wong leads the club in stolen bases. Matt Holliday, Alan Craig, Yadier Molina, Matt Adams, who's a .391 career hitter against Washington, Johnny Peralta, John Jay, and Lance Lynn. And the Cardinals will face Jordan Zimmerman, who's coming off a tremendous start. Many believe the best start he's ever had as a Washington National. That was against San Diego. And Ricky struck out 12, no walks, retired the first 16. He threw 114 pitches. 83 of those were strikes, and he only had a 3-ball count once.
He can be very, very tough. He's one of the National League's best and maybe most underrated starting pitcher. The Cardinals have handled him very well. He has yet to beat the Cardinals and the Pirates, the only two teams in the National League where he doesn't have a victory. The Cardinals have hit him pretty well.
Matt Carpenter leads the club in hits with 77. Average at .294. Also leads in total bases. Tied in the team lead in doubles. And hits a rope out to center. Span on the run and makes the catch. Defensively, Ryan Zimmerman in left, and they tell us he's very good out there, the former Gold Glover at third base. Span in center, Worth is in right, Rendon at third, Ian Desmond your shortstop, 13 errors. Espinosa, he's at second, LaRoche at first, a good one. Lobaton is behind the plate. The second most errors committed in the National League by the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, last in fielding percentage. I say this is a team with a lot of athletes that makes a lot of errors. And I guess it's a team that will get to a lot of balls as well. You mentioned the shortstop and the really both middle infielders are really terrific as far as range is concerned, but they're going to make their errors.
Colton Wong is hitting .250, 1 home run. He's driven in 15. And a real big question around Washington and their franchise right now. Where does Bryce Harper fit in once he comes back? Injured right now as Desmond makes the play. A look at the umpires tonight. Marty Foster, mentioned him before. He's behind the plate. Rob Drake at first. Alan Porter's at second. There's the crew chief, Joe West.
Joe's been around a long time, hasn't he?
He was umping when you were playing.
Yes, he was. He has mellowed some, I must say. At the time, he was very much right with every call that he made, and he wanted to make sure you knew about it.
It's hit down the right field line and foul off the bat of Holliday.
Of course, an umpire has to be confident in the calls that he makes, but you know, Joe took it to a little bit higher level and kind of liked to be part of the show a little bit. But he's mellowed, and he's, in my mind, fun to be around.
Musician Joe West. That pitch is taken for a strike inside. Holliday did not like that call.
You mentioned Bryce Harper. The Nationals are going to have a hard time figuring out what to do with Bryce Harper because everybody else is playing so well where he could possibly replace him. You've got Zimmerman, who's moved to left. Rendon now playing third base. I'm not sure Zimmerman should ever play third base again with his arm issues. Doesn't throw well in left field, but he's been okay out there. And then you've got Worth and right. So I think Matt Williams and the Nationals are going to have a hard decision to make. 41 games he's missed so far, Bryce Harper, but he's getting closer.
0-2 the count on Holliday. Goes down to pull that foul. Last time we were in Washington, the big story was Bryce Harper and his lack of hustle on a ball that was tapped back to the mound.
Matt Williams had very little patience for that, and we found out after the fact that it was not the first time that he was frustrated with him. So kind of that was his last straw, I guess you'd say.
1-2 the count on Holliday.
And such an odd thing from our point of view, Dan, because you think of Bryce Harper as a guy that plays the game like Pete Rose. He's always running and hustling, but Matt Williams saw some things he didn't like and took him out.
Rookie manager, star player. I'm sure there were some veterans inside that Nationals clubhouse that applauded that. Nice play. Anthony Rendon. The ball that even came up at the very end on a hot shot off the bat of Holiday. Due up for Washington as we move to the top of the second. There's no doubt the biggest story around the St. Louis Cardinals, the health of Adam Wainwright. Jim Hayes, he's supposed to pitch on Monday. Where do we stand with Waino?
Still up in the air. He was talking before the game. He wanted to make sure that Cardinal fans knew he understood that when they hear elbow, they think it's something they should be concerned about. He said he's dealing with tendonitis and it has nothing to do with his tendon, which he says is as strong as an oak tree. He says he could have kept pitching and thrown through this, but he figured there's no need to chance it. He says he might make that start on Monday. He'll throw tomorrow and see how the elbow is. The Cards may decide to push his start back. Again, Dan will know more about Waino's status and that start on Monday sometime tomorrow.
And it sounds like he's pretty relaxed about this situation.
Yeah, he says it's just a little spot on the outside of his elbow, and it's nothing he's overly concerned about.
Right center, the catch made by John Jay off the bat of LaRoche. And as far as John Mozeliak is concerned, he was on the pregame show with you tonight.
Yeah, John says the same thing that Adam's saying. They're going to watch him tomorrow. No need to push Wainwright, but there is a chance he could make that start Monday. John said all along this has nothing to do with the Tommy John ligament. This is just something on the outside of the elbow, and they have it under control. And if they have to wait it out a couple of days, they will. They think that's prudent.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman, the second batter for Washington, here at the top of the second. A couple other guys want to ask about quickly. Joe Kelly and Kevin Segrist, they're getting close, at least the big lefty is.
Well, Segrist is on the DL with that left forearm strain. John Mozeliak said on the pregame show he's one good bullpen away from going out on a rehab assignment. As for Kelly, Joe told me he's thrown off the mound a couple of times. He's jogging, not running full speed. He says the hamstring that he's dealing with is fine, no problems there. They're just taking every precaution to make sure there's no setback. No timetable for Joe Kelly.
And Jim, very interesting when Mike Matheny was talking about Joe Kelly in terms of how they might get him ready for action. He's a guy that you can think of as both a starter and a reliever. Mike given any more indication the last couple of days how that rehab will unfold with Joe Kelly in terms of stretching him out?
Yeah, they're not sure when he's going to go on a rehab or exactly how he'll be used. They just want to make sure that hamstring is 100%.
Going back, it's John Jay off the bat of Zimmerman. Thank you, Jim. Looking forward to seeing you Sunday on Father's Day. Young Tyler Hayes will be in attendance as we turn to Rick's Toyota keys to the game.
I've got a couple of things I'm going to wrap about here for you, Dan, with our Toyota keys in the game. And the first thing is the Cardinals need to hard knock Jay-Z. Jordan Zimmerman has been a guy that has not pitched well against the Cardinals. Remember what you did against him. Do it again. And LL, keep cool. Lance Lynn, the Cardinals starter, if things start to go bad, the key for him is to maintain his composure and not allow that big inning.
Here's Ian Desmond, and I know our older viewers are really in tune with those keys to the game.
My demographic. The hip ones are.
Have you been thinking about, those keys to the game for what? And don't give it, it was a couple hours. No, that was well thought out. Brutal.
It's a long drive to the ballpark.
Brutal.
I did it for you.
You just wanted to see the reaction.
It's what I live for.
Ian Desmond leads the club in home runs with 13. He's had an interesting year because Desmond has the 13 errors and yet 13 home runs, tops on the club. 42 RBIs. That's number one for the Washington Nationals. And those numbers put him in the top 5 of the National League. He has also struck out 71 times this year. A talented guy that we understand is really fighting it at times mentally, defensively, but gives you a lot of pop in this lineup.
We saw his arm in that first inning. He didn't seem very smooth on the ground ball he took, but man, does he have a cannon.
Busch Stadium, nice to be back home. First strikeout for Lance Lynn. It's home to the defending National League champions. It's Cardinals baseball. Now we take a look at the AT fan photo. Remember, you can tweet us a photo and we'll show you one of those dazzling pictures coming up later in our telecast. Alec Craig is the Cardinals cleanup man. 33 he's driven in, and his average at 248. He'll lead it off, followed by Molina and Matt Adams. We mentioned that the Nationals are one of the hottest teams in the game right now. They've won 10 of their last 13. And a big reason why has been their pitching. Best in baseball in terms of ERA in those 13 games, 1.84.
Their team batting average very similar to the Cardinals average. So you think about runs basically the same way, but the pitching has shown that it can dominate, and they've got some top line starters. We're going to see Strasburg in game 2, Pfister in game 3 of this series. Gio Gonzalez is hurt.
On an 0-2 pitch, a base hit into right field. Craig went up to get it. And the first hit for either side. Here's what you're talking about, Rick. A red-hot team that is getting the great pitching that we'll see this weekend. The runs per game, 3rd best. And this is in all of Major League Baseball. Team average 271. The OPS and the ERA.
When you have an ERA of 1.84, you're going to win a lot of games. And 10-3, not a surprise. You can add one stat to that list. The Nationals are 30-2. 30-2 if they score 4 runs or more.
30-2. Their ERA, if they get a lead, you get in the late innings of the bullpen, is dominant. It's the best in Major League Baseball. For the entire season, it's well below 3. And Rafael Soriano, their closer, has 13 saves. Slowly hit to the left side. Rendon ranging out at second. Double play. Craig went in hard. It was turned by Espinosa in a 5-4-3 double play.
We've seen both the arms of the middle infielders. I think if you were to take 2 players from every team in baseball, line them up, and they get to play long toss, who could play the longest toss? I think it's Desmond and Espinosa. These guys have cannons. In fact, many say that Espinosa may have the best arm in the National League, period. And you talk about right fielders and, I mean, guys with good arms, third baseman, but man, can he throw.
Good to have Matt Adams back in the lineup. Average when he left, very good, 325. You know that you'd love to see a little bit more power. 3 home runs. And maybe he may just hit number 4. Right center. Goodbye. Welcome back, Matt Adams. 4th home run. 1-0 Cardinals.
Fans have been wondering where Matt Adams' power had gone. Perhaps he had left it there in Memphis on the way to the big leagues after spring training when the Cardinals played there, and he picked it up on the way. But man, he didn't waste any time, did he? Wow. That ball was crushed.
That now makes him a 10 for 24 against the Washington Nationals in his young career. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs against Washington. As Peralta, the team leader in home runs, looks at a strike, and it's 1-1. .419 feet distance of that home run.
Zimmerman has a very good fastball, but this is a circle change, and the movement away, but it's up. It's about thigh high and over 100 miles an hour off the bat of Matt Adams. Fun to watch.
6th home run allowed by Zimmerman. So you had an 87-mile-an-hour pitch, the changeup coming in over 100 miles per hour, going out. The breaking ball is in the dirt. Jordan Zimmerman, another one of those cases of a pitcher having Tommy John, and has come back and pitched successfully. Major League Baseball is awfully concerned about the number of TJ surgeries in the game as Peralta taps it foul, and understandably so. It's not just losing a pitcher here and there. It's become an epidemic to an extent in the game, and it's some of the biggest names in baseball too.
Adam Wainwright has gone through that moment, and he was saying the other day that the day it happened, the moment it happened in spring training, he knew it right away. He actually threw a couple more pitches, and he threw a pitch to kind of end his little session, and everybody said, well, that was an interesting pitch. What did you throw there? And he almost could not, in his mind, he said, I could not admit what I knew happened with my elbow. So I said, yeah, I'm just working on something. And he went home, and on the way home, before he got to his wife Jenny, he kind of came to the realization that I know what happened.
Sure.
I'm done for the year. And he shared it with her and then with the Cardinal training staff the next day.
Sunday, June 22nd. Come out early. Watch batting practice from the stands. Your new batting practice hat. AT sending 25,000 fans 16 and older home with their very own adult replica batting practice hat. That'll be next weekend. It also has the championship logo on the side. Cardinals.com/promotions. Some great promotions coming up next weekend, including the Bob Gibson jersey giveaway. And a ball taken by John Jay. How about John Jay hitting .301? He's been great against left-handed pitching. Starter the other night, Eric Bedard. He went 2 for 2 against that lefty. Chops it towards second base, backing up Espinosa, and he makes the play. Cardinals strand a runner, but thanks to Matt Adams, the Cardinals grab an early lead. 4th home run, back in the lineup. Welcome back. 1-0 Cardinals after 2. By AT&T, mobilizing your world, and by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer for 75 years. It's Forest Park and the whole right along Skinker. Tony West, we send him all over town to get those shots. Little golf to be played at Forest Park. Espinosa, Lobaton, and Zimmerman for Washington. Matt Adams, a solo home run, 1-0 Cardinals here in the third. The switch hitting second baseman is 3 for 5 in his career against Lance Lynn, with 2 of the 3 hits being home runs. This side of the plate hitting just .210. Mentioned before, Rick, of course, played a number of years in the big leagues, pitched, was a pitching coach professional baseball as well. Give me an idea of the mechanics of Lance Lynn. You know, we talk an awful lot about him falling off towards the first base side. At times you want to be straight to the plate. Just how would you describe what you see?
Certain pitchers are a little more rounded in their delivery, and that's what he is. He spins a little bit with his top half, and you know, it's kind of his natural delivery. He kind of starts a little bit facing the Nationals dugout. He's a little closed to begin with, Dan, and then he has to kind of come around a little bit. And when you kind of spin the top half of your body, you always have to be worried about that elbow dropping and the arm dropping. And it's just something he has to really focus on.
Flashback against Lance Lynn. That's when he had the beard. The home run to right. And then he did it again at Nationals Park. So the numbers that we spoke of earlier. And as a pitcher, there's no doubt you remember those numbers. You probably go back and look at those at bats as well.
They both remember them.
Sure. The information that's given to both the hitter and the pitcher prior to every game is astounding. The video that's available.
Now, I will say there are times where the pitcher may remember that even differently than somebody else might. You look at, okay, he hit a couple of home runs. Lance may remember that as a time where he was really struggling with his mechanics, and he may summarize that as, you know what, I was just bad that day and throwing bad pitches, and I'm not going to give him too much credit. I'm just going to say I made a bad pitch. I'm not going to worry about it too much. There's certain guys like that that will hurt you if you make a bad pitch, and maybe that's his summary.
You mentioned the elbow, and when it drops, that's and a lot of times with his off-speed pitches, he's going to spin and maybe sit.
And he'll miss to the arm side. I think that's the key indicator for Lance Lynn. If he is missing time after time to his arm side, meaning away from a left-handed batter, and you see Yachty having to reach out away, that's an indication that he's spinning off just a little bit. And, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with Lance Lynn's delivery. I just think that's what he has to watch out for.
He's gone 3-2 on Rendon, Worth, and now Espinosa. Hot shot and caught. The snow cone, it looked like, for Colton.
33 pitches for Lance Lynn. Let's take a look at his delivery. Very powerful pitcher, and he gets the high leg kick, and he's really gathered at that point, and then drives to the plate. Again, the elbow needs to be above the shoulder for a pitch to be thrown well. If your elbow drops below your shoulder, the ball gets flat. You can't throw a breaking ball from there very well. And that may be one of those at-bats, Dan, that we remember statistically that Espinosa made an out, and he's 0 for 1 against Lance Lynn, but they both know he just hit a rocket.
Absolutely. 1 ball, 1 strike. 8th place hitter, switch hitting catcher, Jose Lobaton. This side of the plate, 247. The right side, he hits 208. Pair of home runs, he's driven in 10. The breaking ball and a foul ball, 1 and 2.
Dan, you made a good point earlier, and the Cardinals getting this early lead, I think, extremely important, and not only getting the lead, but pushing the lead forward. The Nationals have the ability to shorten the game like nobody else in the National League right now. And we saw what it was like to play the Kansas City Royals and try to come back in the 8th and the 9th, because they were really good 8th and 9th, but the Nationals are better from the 6th inning on than any bullpen in baseball right now.
Potentially, the Cardinals could wind up by the end of the year really being able to shorten games. If you add a healthy Segrist, a Joe Kelly potentially in your bullpen, you don't know about his spot in the rotation. Wainwright healthy, getting Martinez on track. All of a sudden, you are geared up for that stretch run.
You know the potential's there because we've seen it. We saw it a year ago, and that's where the hope comes from. That those guys will all start to gel together at some point, and Mike Matheny will come up with a formula that's working, and the players are executing, and then it becomes game over after the 6th.
Peralta with the play. 8 up and 8 down. MLB doubleheader tomorrow. Twins and Tigers. That's on Fox Sports 1. You'll see the Cardinals and Nationals on Baseball Night in America. And then Sunday, right back here on Fox Sports Midwest, will come your way at 12:30 Sunday afternoon. Father's Day. Come on out to the ballpark.
I think I will.
You'll be here?
Sitting out there in Ballpark Village, waving at you.
Here's Kevin Segrist on the left, as Jim said. Bullpen session away from heading to a rehab assignment.
And a good picture of why they call Seth Maness Chewy. We learned that a year ago from Jamie Pogue, the bullpen catcher. Said he's constantly working on his fingers and his nails, so they call him Chewy.
You know what one of his jobs was as a kid growing up?
I do not know.
Working at Pinehurst.
I know he's from Pinehurst, and there's some action going on right there now, and playing number 2 at Pinehurst. He knows he wants to wave, but he's not sure where.
The 2-1 pitch taken for his strike. 2-2 on Jordan Zimmerman, who's hitting .286. No home runs, no RBIs. Seth Maness, a pretty good golfer. If you're from Pinehurst, North Carolina, you better be a real good golfer. And first time ever, the U.S. Open, both men's and women's, will be held at Pinehurst this year.
Taken a couple of trips there myself, and it is gorgeous there.
Good cut by Zimmerman as he fouled it back. Again, speaking of gorgeous, temperatures are perfect here for the middle of June in St. Louis. It's 76 degrees tonight. Another 3-2 pitch, and he got him. A strikeout for Lance Lynn, his second tonight. 9 up and 9 down. Beautiful night here in the Gateway City. We move to the home half of the third. 1-0. As we take a look at the leading vote getters for the National League All-Star team. Yadier Molina leading for St. Louis behind the plate, over 1.6 million. We'll see Chase Utley in this homestand. It'll be next weekend. Also David Wright, the third baseman of the Mets. We'll see him on Monday. That's a look at the National League All-Stars, as Mike Matheny will manage that game, and he'll have a few selections along the way as well.
And he picked Clint Hurdle, Freddie Gonzalez to be his managers. Of course, he'll take his coaches with him to coach first and third base. Oquendo and Chris Maloney will really take Mike Aldretti with him as well to help him with all the ins and outs. And think about the ins and outs of managing an All-Star game, especially when you realize that the All-Star game is important. Now, you can argue about whether it should be or not, but the point is, it's a game he wants to win. I think part of the reason you take managers from teams that are successful teams is, you know, they want to win too, because if they get to the World Series, they're going to have that advantage of playing the extra game at home. Mike taking this job of managing the All-Star game very seriously.
Lance Lynn, 0-2. And as you mentioned, as he should, very important game. Home field advantage for the World Series. The 0-2 to Lynn, and he strikes out. First strikeout for Jordan Zimmerman. First time through this lineup. Gave up a couple of hits and a walk. One of those hits was Craig, his single on an 0-2 pitch to right, then erased on a double play, and a home run by Adams. Keep the savings going this year on the run. Cardinals score 6. Get any size coffee, fountain, frozen drink for just 50 cents the next day at your nearest On the Run. Carpenter lined out his first time up, 0 for 1. I would have to think that Matt Carpenter now is in the conversation for being an All-Star.
Will you get out of my mind?
I don't want to be there, trust me.
This is getting kind of scary for me, but really thinking the same thing, Dan, right before you said it. And you know, Carpenter does not have the power numbers and the doubles that he had a year ago, but he's such a good leadoff hitter. He walks a lot. On base percentage very high. That's valued. He's been really a perfect leadoff hitter for Mike Matheny. Mike was asked on this last road trip if he thought about changing his lineup during the drought that the Cardinals were having offensively, and he said he really didn't want to panic by doing that, but he just sees guys in the right spot, especially Carpenter. What he brings to these deep counts to start games off, how it helps the rest of the team, he just thinks it's invaluable.
Leads a club in runs with 43. On base percentage is near 400. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and the next two, Matt Carpenter. And he strikes out. Back-to-back Ks. Carpenter strikes out team high 53rd time.
And a lot of those times looking. Gave up on that one a little bit, kind of a backdoor. I wouldn't call it a cutter, but it did ride just a little bit towards that outside corner, and I think he was fooled perhaps with the pitch. And this is something I'm surprised at with Carpenter, that he's been caught looking so much.
Off the bat of Colton Wong, a ground out to Ian Desmond for the second time tonight, and he's 0 for 2. Look at the American League All-Stars, and quite an outfield with Cabrera, Trout, and Bautista. Donaldson, your third baseman potentially. Derek Jeter, Robinson Cano leads the league in hitting. Cabrera, Mr. All-World. Matt Wieters behind the plate. Nelson Cruz, your DH.
You know, I was looking at the National League lineup that we showed last inning, and I thought, wow, that's scary. Wouldn't want to pitch to those guys. I'm not sure I'd want to pitch to those guys either in the American League. That is a powerful AL lineup.
All-Star game this year in Minnesota, July 15th on Fox. And a former Twin at the plate, Denard Span.
One of the things you get at the All-Star game, Dan, is you get the best of the best competing, and I think there's some fun moments just with that alone. I mean, you always wonder what would it be like for a top starter to have to face Cabrera and Trout back to back. I mean, there's no place to put anybody.
Span is 0 for 2. All-Star bound with a question mark. I'm not sure if you talk to many fans if they can name, let's say, 3 players from the Oakland A's. And yet this team has been dominating in the American League West. One of them is Josh Donaldson.
He had a big year a year ago. He really showed up and got very high in the MVP balloting. In fact, Josh Donaldson off to another good start with the 17 home runs, 50 RBIs. No wonder he is the leading vote getter at this point. But I would agree with you. In terms of the rest of the team, there are a bunch of guys that aren't really big names. It's not, honestly, when you go to Oakland, they don't draw big crowds there. It's kind of not one of the newer ballparks. They just don't have a lot of things going in that regard. But boy, they just keep winning. They keep being competitive, let's say, year after year.
Billy Beane deserves a ton of credit. The staff of the Oakland A's going out, limited resources, bad ballpark, and yet they find a way to win. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Rendon. Donna Linville feeling a bit under the weather, and she's watching Cardinals baseball tonight. Never misses a game. Buddy and Carol Goldstein, 60 years of marriage, and they're watching tonight as well. Never miss a game on Fox Sports Midwest as Adams puts it away.
I thought Brad Pitt was the general manager of the Oakland A's. I guess not.
2 down, and it brings in Jason Worth.
There's a delivery from Lance Lynn. Got in his kitchen. We talked about the quick hands of Rendon, but that ball was just bearing in on him, and really a good start. Great start so far for Lance Lynn.
Here's Jason Worth, who grounded out to third. Broke his bat on a 3-2 pitch back in the first. Mark Ellis was featured in Moneyball. Talked to him about watching that. He said it was really interesting watching Moneyball with his wife, and of course they knew so many of the characters, real life characters in Moneyball, and
John Mabry was asked to be in that movie,
right,
and declined. His name's in it.
And Mark said he was very proud that, you know, they made a movie on a team that by most accounts was a low budget, resourceful team. Went on an incredible tear. Won a bunch of games consecutively, and was mentioned, and obviously doing things outside the box a little bit, especially at that point in time in baseball. Now more and more the analytics are talked about in how you evaluate players, defensive alignment. But back then you didn't hear as much about it. It was being done, but it wasn't front page.
I think we're in a kind of a medium point in terms of sabermetrics and the old school way. I think people are starting to understand the value of both a little more. I would say that's kind of the general consensus. And you know, the movie was a little harsh on former Cardinal player and longtime manager Art Howe, who managed that team. They kind of made him out to be an old school guy who didn't know anything, which is of course the Hollywood's way of making it a big conflict, which I understand from the inside wasn't really very accurate. And Art, great baseball guy, was actually very distraught about that movie, and understandably so.
Hit down the right field line, and that'll slice foul and out of play. fifth batter already that Lynn has gone 3-2 on. That's why his pitch count here in the top of the fourth is already at 58. It's sharply to short. Peralta up with it, long throw. What a play! What a play, Johnny Peralta. Moving to his right, sliding a bit on the outfield grass, and a nice throw. A strike to Adams to rob Jason Worth. Fielding independent pitching. So this measures what a pitcher's ERA should have looked like over a given period of time, not what it actually was, assuming that the performance on balls in play, the defense, were at the league average. So it's an idea that is another form of sabermetrics and a better indicator to assess a pitcher's talent by looking at the results of things a pitcher can't control, as opposed to balls in play which are then out of the pitcher's control. Interesting stuff.
There's a lot that goes into that. I'm not sure I'm fully on board with what FIP says about a pitcher's ability, and I think there's times where a pitcher can control what happens when a ball is put in play by not hitting the square part of the bat. I think if a pitcher gives up a lot of line drives, you know, they're not dropping by luck, they're dropping by straight fastballs. And a guy, you know, you think about Greg Maddux and some of the great sinker ball pitchers of the history of this game. Those are guys that on purpose are pitching to soft contact, which of course is a Cardinal way element. It's something that's outlined in the Cardinal way that Cardinal pitchers should be pitching to soft contact, trying to get the ball hit not squarely but just off the end of the bat or jam somebody. And I think not 100% sure that's fully vetted in that stat.
Zimmerman stabs it, and he makes the play to take a hit away potentially from Matt Holliday, who is twice grounded out on hard hit balls. And it brings in Alan Craig, who's singled to right on an 0-2 pitch back in the second.
All right, Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who are you rooting for in the College World Series?
Do I have a choice?
If we are going to maintain our wonderful friendship, I would say no.
Virginia. Excuse me.
I heard UVA there.
Virginia. Yeah.
Now Lance Lynn's Ole Miss team is in the World Series, and I believe TCU is there also.
The Horned Frogs,
which is Matt Carpenter's alma mater. So I'm so glad you're on board with Virginia.
Pretty excited about it. Oh, 1 pitch is chopped to third. Anthony Rendon. Download the new McD app for great deals sent directly to your smartphone. Right now, get a free large sandwich with any purchase just for downloading. Now, in all seriousness, good luck to the Cavaliers. And something that they're doing that's interesting with the Cardinals, they have reached out to you, an alum. The Cardinals have gone to Matt Carpenter. They've gone out to Lance Lynn. And they're sending personal messages to those teams. And also, you'll be seeing maybe those players. Hopefully, I know you've got some photos of yourself a few years ago in that Virginia Cavaliers uniform.
Actually, colored photos too. I was impressed. I wasn't 100% sure whether they would be when I dug into my collection, but I think the idea is they'll be putting it on the Cardinal website as well, just to again promote baseball. You know, it starts there at college. It's really become a big deal. College baseball has become part, not exactly of the minor leagues, but they are helping to develop players in a big way.
Off the bat of Molina, hot shot Rendon, the high throw, but LaRoche is there. A 1-2-3 inning. We head to the fifth. Twelve up, 12 down. He struck out 2 and no walks. LaRoche, Zimmerman, and Desmond for Washington here in the top of 5. As good a start as Lance Lynn has had through 4 innings so far this year.
Well, I think when you said no walks, that was the key part. He's really, as you mentioned, had a couple of deep counts. The Nationals are doing that more and more, as we mentioned in the first inning. But Lance Lynn's not giving in, and he's not walking anybody.
Here's Adam LaRoche. The shift is on. LaRoche is off to his best start in his career in terms of average. Always has been a slow starter. The highest average at this point in the season that he's had is 276. Well, at the start of play tonight, 310.
When he's often quite a bit lower than that.
200 sometimes.
Exactly.
He's 8th in average. Troy Tulowitzki leading the league with a 356 mark. And his on-base percentage is .420 when you talk about LaRoche. By the way, your Virginia Cavaliers, that has turned into one of the best baseball programs, elite in the country.
They have a wonderful venue there in Charlottesville, a top 5 program year after year, and they have one of their better teams. They're starting to develop pretty good talent professionally.
1-2 the count. If you're scoring at home, we're giving you where these players are situated. You've got Carpenter at the shortstop position, basically, and Peralta over on the second base side. Molina sets up low and outside, ground ball and pulled foul. The venue is Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's really just a magical place. It's just awesome if you haven't been there.
So we're driving up there to watch Virginia play? Is that what you're telling me?
I'd do it, sure. I'd go with you, road tripping.
That'd be awesome.
Ooh, the check swing and a strikeout. Joe West rings him up. Third tonight.
Well, when in doubt, I think most of the time guys do swing when you look at it in slow mo. Does the bat really, does he make an effort towards the ball? Is he really kind of breaking up this imaginary plane essentially? And it really is a judgment call, but more times than not they've made an attempt to swing at it. I thought that was the right call by Joe.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. Fly to deep center field. Now, Lance Lynn right now is shutting down a very good lineup. This is only game number 21 for Ryan Zimmerman. First draft selection of the Nationals in June of 2005, and he's under their control through 2019.
Question with him is, where will he play?
Just threw the bat at it, stays alive. Need a gift for dad? MLB.com @bat app and a subscription to its premium features. You can get that for dad. All you have to do is visit MLB.com. And even with that sore arm, she made the catch.
And now has a story.
Molina again outside, and that's in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's part of why you come to the ballpark. You want to watch a game, you want to watch big leaguers, you want to watch your team play, but you're creating memories here at the ballpark. And that young lady certainly will have one that she'll be telling for years about catching a baseball at Busch Stadium. Way to go.
Got him. A strikeout of Zimmerman. Nasty pitch. Made a very good hitter look foolish on that swing.
You mentioned he throws a lot of fastballs, but that was a breaking ball, and it was a very tight breaking ball. Zimmerman's thinking fastball right now, and then he realizes, nope, I swung at the wrong pitch at the wrong time.
Ian Desmond. He struck out back in the second inning. I mentioned earlier that Desmond leads our club in home runs, RBIs. Well, he's 5th in the National League in both those categories, and not far behind from the leaders. Stanton and Tulowitzki with 17 home runs to lead the National League. Stanton with 53 RBIs. That just missed 1 ball, 1 strike.
Dan, I'm not sure Lance Lynn is throwing any harder than he normally throws, but I think he's got a little more explosion. And when he's releasing the ball, it's got life to it. It's jumping to both sides of the plate. His command is good. He just has his good fastball today. There's a little sink to it, and he looks like he knows what he's doing. I mean, there's times where a pitcher, you give him the fastball, you throw a fastball, and you're kind of hoping something happens. You're not really sure what the plan is, but Lance Lynn has a real plan right here.
The 2-1. Ground ball to third. And Carpenter makes the play. A pair of strikeouts in the inning. 4 tonight for Lance Lynn. And he looks nasty through 5. The Cardinals have Adams, Peralta, and Jay due up. NASCAR Truck Series at Gateway. You can find that on Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night at 7. Also streaming online on Fox Sports Go. Along with Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you. Beautiful night here at Busch Stadium. Matt Adams, a solo home run to right center back in the second inning as the shift is on. And he beats the shift. 2 for 2 in his return to the lineup tonight. A broken bat single. And the first hit for the Cardinals since his home run back in the second inning.
The Nationals have not had any offense here tonight, but the Cardinals haven't had very much either. But Matt Adams has supplied the bulk of it. The home run in the second inning, a 419-foot shot, and then a broken bat there. And boy, that could be such a huge boost to this Cardinals lineup to get Matt Adams going. You know, Dan, we've talked about it quite a bit. How do the Cardinals win? How do they gel offensively? They need to have Holiday, Craig, and Adams producing.
That's pulled foul.
Those guys are the guys that will give you scary at-bats. Those guys are the guys that should be driving in a lot of runs. Cardinals have had a few games where they've had too many station-to-station games, and then they've left runners on base. But if you're hitting doubles and triples and home runs, you can solve that.
Peralta is grounded into 8 double plays. It's one of the concerns you have with Johnny in this spot. He walked his first time up. Hits it to the left side. Out at second, and they turn the double play. The second double play the Cardinals have hit into tonight, and there are some infields that would not turn that double play. Wow.
I mentioned the arms of the middle infielders, but Rendon has a cannon too, and this one he throws from down south right on the money. And it's not just the good strong throws, they have to be accurate throws too. There's LaRoche, who's very good at digging balls out of the dirt, but you know, it started with Rendon made a good throw to the second baseman. If it's not a good throw, you've got the runner bearing down on you, and you're going to have a hard time getting off an accurate throw to first base. So Nationals really do have tremendous arms on this team.
John Jay grounded out to second. First time up, 0 for 1. Hits it to short. Ian Desmond. A base hit by Adams, erased on the double play. Jay grounds out. 1-0 St. Louis. Derby is on ESPN. That's Monday, July 14th. All-Star Game on Fox the next night, July 15th. We are in the 6th inning on a Friday night here in St. Louis, along with Rick Horton, Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you Espinosa, Lobaton, and Jordan Zimmerman. 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup coming up. Lance Lynn, through 5 innings, has faced 15. All 15 have gone down, and he has 4 strikeouts. You know, all Sundays here at Busch Stadium starts 2 hours before games. Free North Star ice cream. That's in the Ford Plaza, and that's presented by Prairie Farms. Also want to remind folks, when we're out of town on the road, Vicki Bryant and her crew have a great brunch over at Ballpark Village. It's Ballpark Village on the Sundays, every Sunday when we're out of town. No game. Still come on down to Ballpark Village. Espinosa lined out. I believe next Friday you are signing autographs in the Ford Plaza.
I am.
For the Budweiser Bash.
I can get you one if you play your cards right.
I would appreciate that.
Yep. 75 pitches for Lance Lynn. Having a very special night tonight. 110 pitches through 5 innings in his last outing. Quite a big difference. Really, since Lance's last start, the Cardinals starting staff has been unbelievably good.
And that was the difference, Rick, and you talked about it. The fact is, if you pitch well, you win. And if you go back and there's another strikeout, you go back to the previous homestand. Kind of an ugly homestand for the Cardinals.
Agreed.
And their ERA collectively for the starters was a run higher from day one of that homestand. It finished a run higher when we arrived in Kansas City.
Ball just jumping out of the hand of Lance Lynn, and when St. Louis got to Toronto, things just got a whole lot better. Shelby Miller had a incredible game, just 3 hits, 3-hit shutout. Jaime Garcia was just as good the next night. He gave up just 3 hits in 7 innings. And then Adam Wainwright, even though he wasn't pitching with his best stuff, we talked about his elbow issues, he threw up 7 zeros too.
Here's Lobaton and the 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. That's what makes this sport beautiful. You know, you go into Toronto and you're thinking, uh-oh, this could get ugly. With that ball club, the way that they hit, and the Cardinals throw a couple of zeros in back-to-back days.
Those 2 with back-to-back shutouts and really dominating performances too. Garcia got help from the Cardinal bullpen. I'm not sure he was going to need it. He was nasty too. You know, in my mind, talking about Adam Wainwright earlier, and Jim was giving us the update on his elbow, making sure everybody knew that it's not Tommy John. It's something he's pitched with before and feels as if he can pitch through. But you know, Wainwright's so important to this team, not just because of his pitching. It's what he does to set an example for Lance Lynn and Jaime Garcia and Michael Wacha, all the younger pitchers on this team, on how to get the job done correctly. And Cardinals sure would miss him if he wasn't around.
And there's the first hit tonight for Washington. A clean base hit past Carpenter. Lobaton, after it's misplayed by Holiday, will arrive at second base. It'll be a single and an error on Holiday. And for Matt, that'll be his second this year. And a nice round of applause. These fans know just how well Lance Lynn has pitched tonight.
Kind of just a half swing right here by Lobaton, the switch hitting catcher, and he hits the ball just inside the bag. I think Carpenter playing a normal third base. He still doesn't catch that ball. It's right over the bag. Wasn't hit hard, and there's Matt trying to just pick it up too quickly twice. I mean, was just trying to rush it and bobbled it. You mentioned just a second error, but all of a sudden the Nationals have a runner in scoring position.
And it's popped up. Colton Wong, 2 down. What's on tap is brought to you by Budweiser. Strasburg and Miller again tomorrow. Baseball night in America. Steven Strasburg has been pitching up to his reputation of when he first got into the league as of late. You know, everybody thought he would just dominate. Well, he's been doing that here lately. Shelby Miller will try to follow up his great start from Toronto, and that'll be seen on Fox tomorrow.
Fun matchup there. Final game of the series. The Nats will go with Pfister, who's really one of their key acquisitions and dealt with some injuries himself, but looking forward to watching him pitch as well. They've got a very good staff. There's no question about it.
Denard Span is popped out to short, flied out to left. Very good leadoff man. 19 doubles, most on their team. Good speed. He has 4 triples. Leads their club in stolen bases with 9. Those doubles, 5th best in the National League. Paul Goldschmidt leads the league with 27. The outstanding first baseman of Arizona. Line drive into center. Jay is there. Lynn pitches around the air from Holiday. He's given up just 1 hit tonight through 6. Our energy, recognizing those who, despite their own needs, put others first. And find a helpful servicing steel dealer near you. Visit steeldealers.com.
I'm not sure what team they're rooting for. Could you tell?
They're pretty pumped up.
They
pretty
are
excited about their birds.
And a very good baseball game here through 5.5 innings. Just 4 hits. Cardinals have only managed 3 off of Zimmerman. And we've mentioned Zimmerman 0-4 in 7 career starts against the Cardinals.
Lance Lynn was trying to make it 2-0. Remember a few years ago, Lance Lynn dealt with a side issue. And the Cardinals essentially told him either you're going to be bunting every single time you go up there or barely swing. And Lynn, like many major league pitchers, and he came in hitting 0-43, 1 for 23. He's now 1 for 24, and 1 hit was against Washington. But many of these major league pitchers were outstanding hitters, whether it be in high school, some even in college, as Lynn strikes out. And Lance was one of those growing up. You can join the St. Louis Rams, meet the new rookies. Fox Sports Midwest Live at Ballpark Village, Wednesday, June 18th. Free event, 5:30 to 7:30. Features giveaways, autographs, and more. And you can get details at stlballparkvillage.com. stlballparkvillage.com, and they have a list of all the different events that come through town. Breaking ball and a strike to Carpenter.
I think you're right about most pitchers. And I say most, I would say probably 95% of them were very good hitters in high school. But there's something about being elite. And the elite pitchers who've learned to figure out how to get the best hitters out in the world haven't necessarily developed this really different skill of being able to hit a baseball. They're really two different things. But you play a lot of baseball, you're good at it. But to be elite, and Wainwright, one of those guys that really does swing the bat well and holds his own here at the elite level. But there aren't many pitchers that are as good as an Adam Wainwright swinging the bat.
How much stock do you put into Grichuk, Piscotty, Wong, now Oscar Taveras, who put up really big numbers down at AAA and now coming to the big league level? They're finding it a very difficult transition, and maybe that jump in talent is a lot more than we have been talking about here the last handful of years.
Yeah, it's precisely what Mike Matheny said before a game a couple of days ago. He said exactly what you just said, and I think he was thinking, and he's been one of the ones saying, look, there's just a slight difference between AAA and the big leagues. Big league guys just a little more consistent. And his comment was, and I agree with him, that we might rethink saying that, because you see guys putting up the 340, 350 numbers in AAA, and the reality is you're hitting against Jordan Zimmerman one night, and Strasburg the next night, and Pfister. I mean, these are the best of the best, and hitting 300 in the big leagues is a lot different.
Taveras getting sent down, no surprise for you?
It's not a surprise, but I'm a little torn about that. In fact, I kind of would like to see him still here, and I'm not sure what other move would be made at that point, because I don't want to think that means somebody else is going out. But the point is, Taveras to me was a dangerous at bat despite his batting average.
Look at that pick by LaRoche. Yeah, and the Cardinals said he wasn't locked in, but they have seen him at a different level of being locked in, and it was just one of those points of the season where he came up, got a little cold, and was in a cold spell, but never did they feel he was overmatched. Nice play by LaRoche.
And in some of those at-bats where he made outs, he made some hard outs, some loud outs, and had some good swings. And, I don't think he was out overmatched at any point in his time up here. He didn't seem like he didn't belong here. And I think on the contrary, he's a guy that when he came to the plate, you think, something good might happen here.
There's Colton Wong. The pitch is by inning, very efficient for Jordan Zimmerman. And I'll say this, his play in game 1 against Tampa Bay saved the game and saved the shutout for the Cardinals, and the ball that was hitting the gap in right field. He got to it, spun and throw. They held up the runner, and eventually Wainwright pitched out of a jam.
Part of what the Cardinals would say, and John Mozeliak was saying that before the game, is they want to make sure he gets enough at-bats and continues to develop, since he missed so much time a year ago. And I do get all that, but boy, it comes down to you need a pinch hitter in the 9th inning. Who would I like to see coming up with a dangerous at-bat? Oscar Taveras.
And if things would stay status quo right now and say guys don't get hurt, obviously you would see him when rosters would expand. I would assume, though, we'll see him before then.
I would hope so.
Me too. And I'm with you. He brought some excitement to this team. And a strikeout of Wong, who is hitless tonight, 0 for 3. Zimmerman strikes out 2, and he has struck out 4 here tonight. Freezing Wong with the breaking ball. 1-0 as we head to the 7th. fans 16 and older receive a Cardinals tote bag courtesy of Diet Coke and Schnucks. And that'll be next Saturday. Cardinals have some very good promotions for that series with the Phillies. Don't forget about the Bob Gibson jersey giveaway on Friday night. We've heard that some folks believe that that's sold out. That is not the case. And you can get that Gibson jersey next Friday. Rendon, Worth, LaRoche. Could be a very important inning here for Lance Lynn with 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, we have some tense moments ahead in this game. A 1-0 game, pitchers duel. It's one of my favorite ways to watch a baseball game when you've got two pitchers that are throwing a lot of strikes and attacking the zone and dominating, and it makes strategy, to me, the strategy of baseball, come alive. When do you run? When do you bunt?
Oh, and 2.
When do you pinch hit for your pitcher? All those things going through the head of both managers today, Mike Matheny and first-year manager Matt Williams.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2.
Best curveball we've seen from Lance Lynn in quite some time.
Yeah, I think so. Really offsetting the fastball, and we talked about it. He came in throwing the fastball 76% of the time. League leader Bartolo Colon, and there's another strikeout. Number 6. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Gorgeous night as we begin a 3-game weekend series with the Washington Nationals. Dan, Rick, and Jim with you. All smiling and just so happy to be here.
Do we actually have the phase of the moon there? Is that
was, you know, it is Friday the 13th.
Is that a waning crescent? Is that what that is? Hey, if we're going to show it, I think we should talk about it.
You're the Cavalier here.
I didn't study moons.
There's only one broadcaster that can lay claim to that. Base hit for Worth.
And he's doing radio.
You got it. Just the second hit for the Washington Nationals. 1 out hit by Jason Worth. Brings in Adam LaRoche. AT&T fan photo. You betcha. What was that, the rally squirrel with a cape? Adam LaRoche is flied to deep right center and also struck out on a check swing. Lynn would love the double play here. Outfield is deep and straight away. Up the middle, could be 2. Steps on the bag. Nicely done. The Cardinals turn 2. The shift. And that was Matt Carpenter, your third baseman, on the second base side. Looking for the double play, and he gets it. Time to stretch here at Busch. It's a pitcher's duel here tonight. Home half of the 7th rolls in. Zimmerman through 6 has allowed just the home run by Matt Adams. 2 hits allowed by Lance Lynn. Mazda game summary.
You mentioned, Dan, that Lance Lynn had an important top of the 7th, facing 2, 3, and 4 for the Nationals, but an equally important bottom of the 7th for Jordan Zimmerman. Face Holiday, Craig, Molina, and then hopefully Matt Adams. And getting close to that time where they're going to have to decide whether or not to pinch hit for Zimmerman.
Shallow right. And the catch is made. You know, we just got through watching American League style baseball with a designated hitter. And this is what makes National League style baseball and the strategy that goes along with it, the greatness of it, in my opinion. And I'm not a fan of the DH. I love seeing the pitcher hit because of decisions like this. Take away the offense. Just think about what it does in the entire game, offensively, and your pitching and your defense.
To me, it's part of the fun of it. I agree 100%. And I know there are people that would take the opposing point of view and say, look, I'm tired of watching Lance Lynn and Jordan Zimmerman hit. I mean, they are not very good at it. It's not fun to watch them. And I get the point, but that's part of, in my mind, playing. Being a major league player is having to field. I mean, I don't want to watch a guy field either. They can't field, but guess what? You got to do it. I mean, you got a guy in left field. I'm sorry, he's going to have to catch the ball every once in a while. So you're going to have to be able to do multiple things. And for a pitcher to pitch, I think let them hit, let them learn how to help themselves some. But I think more than that, it creates the strategy of the game you're talking about, which I think is fun.
1-2 the count on Craig. And Alan Craig has one of the 3 Cardinal hits. A single by Craig in the 2nd inning on an 0-2 pitch to right. Erased on a double play. Home run by Adams. A broken bat single to center by Adams in the 5th. That's it. Zimmerman has struck out 4, 1 walk. And he strikes out Alan Craig.
Could you imagine a game where you have 9 guys hit and 9 other guys go out in the field? Here's the pitch to Craig, down and away. You draft guys just because they can catch a ball or just because they can hit it. That's not baseball.
Jordan Zimmerman, and I gave you those numbers from his last start, Rick. McCaddy, their pitching coach, said it was his worst bullpen in terms of warming up all season long. And then he goes out and is nearly perfect. And Zimmerman himself said, I had nothing. I could not throw a curveball. My fastball had no life to it. I warmed up thinking this is going to be awful. And then he goes out 9 innings, and they said it was one of the best starts he's ever made. Backhanded here by Espinosa.
You ever been good on the golf range?
Yeah, good point. Good point. 8th inning rolls in when we come back. Ballpark Village, and inside there our Fox Sports Midwest studio. Standing by Pat Ferris with a Bommarito Sports Update. All right, thank you, Pat. Looking forward to the postgame show with you at Hungo. Matt Adams, 2 of the Cardinals' 3 hits tonight, and one of those our Nissan drive of the game. His 4th home run, Adams' first game back since coming off the DL.
Very few games do you get through 7 innings with a 1-0 score, and each team having left just 1 runner on base. A couple of double plays, only 5 hits so far. Both Lance Lynn and Jordan Zimmerman have been terrific.
Pat Neshek is throwing in the Cardinals' pen. Zimmerman, Desmond, Espinosa. Strike 2. He has just been pumping strikes tonight, and that extra giddy up.
It just is exploding. The last few feet before the plate, we saw him strike out Rendon on a couple of pitches where the location wasn't great, but the ball just exploded on him.
Got him, a strikeout of Zimmerman. That's 7 tonight.
What a great example that was of using 2 different kinds of fastballs to strike out a batter. You say he throws a lot of fastballs, he does, but they're different fastballs. Threw a fastball up in the zone, blew it by him. Then throws this one with sink down and in, and he swings over the top of it. And in Ryan Zimmerman's mind, those were 2 different pitches. That's the high, hard one. Now will he throw a sinker? 98 pitches for Lance.
Oh, 2. Desmond has struck out. That was in the 2nd and grounded out. Here's the 0-2. Armed Forces watching tonight on AFN across the world. Hopefully enjoying a little baseball tonight. Cardinals lead it 1-0. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here it comes. Hit out of play.
Still throwing 94, 95 miles an hour in the 8th inning. I think Mike Matheny, having Neshek go along with him, I don't think he's concerned about Lance Lynn, but you just have to have somebody backing you up. But right now, it's his ball game.
Lance Lynn has gone the distance 1 time in his professional career, minor leagues, major leagues, and that was last homestand against the Yankees.
And he's got some fans in the front row.
Got him, tied him up with that pitch. Strikeout number 8. Very special moment in between innings. This is Matthew Peters, the Missouri National Guard. He's mostly been based in Honduras, and he is now home. And his daughter was singing, part of a group that was singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and he surprised his daughter. And there's nothing, I mean nothing, like seeing those shots. The sporting events, football, basketball, baseball, I mean, it just puts things in perspective.
That's awesome.
Great to have him here. Matthew Peters. Okay, you're Mike Matheny. If he gets Espinosa, your pitch count more than likely would be under 110. Say Lance Lynn, go get him.
I would.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to a pitch count. Have you been, struggling to get to, in this case, 105? And the answer is no. He's been pretty free and easy tonight.
When you talk about a pitcher throwing stressful pitches, well, he's not under stress. He's creating the stress with the national batters. Free and easy, ball exploding out of his hand. Still at 95. And again, expect a sinker here maybe. Fastballs in, straight ones. Then that second fastball that he's throwing that it is a great compliment to the pitch up in the zone.
These fans want to see him strike out the side. Here it comes outside.
That was the sinker though, and again it looks like two different pitches to the Nationals.
The 2-2. Lynn has yet to walk a man tonight. Espinosa has a little pop. Remember, he came in 3 for 5 against Lynn with 2 home runs. He has 6 this year.
I think you got 2 choices here: fastball in or fastball away, and they're going to go in. One of the few times he's missed location.
Good battle here. As you mentioned, Rick, good point. Velocity is still right there. That last pitch at 94.
Not an overly hot night. Cool most of the day here in St. Louis. Lynn doesn't look tired to me at all.
In the air, center field. Jay is there, puts it away. Lynn is through 8 in one of his most dominating performances we've seen. The question, will he finish what he started? It reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. For the Nationals, their last 26 innings here at Busch Stadium, they have 1 run. Remember, they were nearly no hit at the end of last season by Michael Wacha, and the Cardinals swept them in that series as Adams chops it towards second. What a play that is. My goodness. Wow. That big leaguer just made it look like an ordinary play, and it was not.
He's nowhere near where that ball was hit. And you see him coming into the picture. Gets the short hop off balance throw to throw out Matt Adams, who's trying for a
good play.
3-for-3 night here.
How about Zimmerman? He's only had 72 pitches here with 1 out in the 8th. Here's Johnny Peralta. Peralta has walked and bounced into a 5-4-3 double play. He has 53 hits this year. 26 of those 53 have been extra base hits.
Zimmerman hasn't lost his fastball either. His pitch count low, as you mentioned. And he is having a special night himself, and you know, in his mind, he's got to keep thinking, hey, I got to do what I'm doing here. I can't make our team score runs. I got to just keep people out.
And he makes the play here as Peralta flips the bat 2 away. St. Louis, his 2 favorite destinations, one great price, Cardinals and Six Flags, the double play combo. Get it now at cardinals.com/Six Flags. When Lynn went the distance in his last time he had a chance to do this against the Yankees, he had thrown 116 pitches after 8. That was 3 starts ago against New York. He's at 111 right now, and with Rosenthal warming up, it looks like his night may be through. We'll get our answer in just a moment. An easy 1-2-3 inning for Jordan Zimmerman, and it does look like his night is through. Rosenthal coming on when we come back. In this game, 1-0 St. Louis. Trevor Rosenthal, the Cardinals closer, is in. Had a 4-out save against Tampa Bay last time out. He's 17 of 20 in the save department, and it's a Chevy call to the pen, part of a double switch. Peter Borges takes over in center field.
Cardinals adding speed to their outfield with Borges, and Rosenthal has been pitching better of late. Attacking the strike zone, less walks for Rosenthal, and the Cardinals trying to give Jordan Zimmerman a complete game 76 pitch performance and turn it into a loss. Wonder if that's ever happened.
1 ball, 1 strike. Rosenthal is 5th in the National League with 17 saves. Romo and Fernandez both with 20. Changeup taken low, and it's 2-1. Nate McLouth is the hitter. Then we'll see another pinch hitter. And the top of the lineup before this one is through. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2-2. Just got a piece. Greg Dobbs is on deck. Very good pinch hitter. Number of years in the big leagues. The 2-2. Inside corner, strikeout of Nate McLouth. 1 away here in the 9th.
Perfect location for Trevor Rosenthal. He went away, then came back in, and may have gotten a break. That ball did miss the inside corner, but very, very close to take that pitch. You mentioned how good Dobbs has been as a pinch hitter. One of the game's best, really, Dan, but he's just 2 for 21 this season in this role. Most pinch hitters very patient, know the strike zone.
There's strike 1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Dobbs is the pinch hitter for Zimmerman. It's popped up left side and out of play. 0-2. Lance Lynn, 8 innings tonight, 8 strikeouts, only 2 hits, no walks, 73 strikes of the 111 that he threw. 73.
And don't look now, but his ERA down to 3.16.
Wow.
And falling.
76 pitches for Zimmerman to get through 8. Got him. 2 away. Rick, the Cardinals potentially could have shutouts this week in which they have 3 hits in 2 games and wins. Tampa Bay, and now tonight with Washington, they're 1 out away from doing that. The Budweiser player of the game, Lance Lynn, and they're on their feet here at Busch. Denard Span at the plate. First pitch, a ball. I mean, think about that. How often does that happen? 2 games and your offense gives you 3 hits, and yet your staff combines to give you the shutout.
Pitching has been spectacular, and who says fans don't appreciate good pitching? They are on their feet here, loving this game.
Ground ball. This should do it. Oh no! Under the glove of Colt Wong. Second error for the Cardinals tonight for Wong, his 5th this season. Oh my. And Anthony Rendon, Rick told you to start this game, one of the quickest bats in the league against a guy that throws awfully hard.
That ball got on Wong faster than he thought. He was really just not in the proper fielding position. His glove wasn't out front. I think it just ate him up, and he feels awful right now, and he'd feel a lot better if Trevor Rosenthal can take care of Rendon. But a scary moment here. He has got very good power.
9 home runs, 4 in the last 13 games. First pitch, strike 1. This Nationals lineup has struck out 10 times tonight. 2 by Rosenthal this inning. The 0-1. That pitch at 98. No doubles defense for the Cardinals. There is about as deep as you could play at this ballpark. Good speed at first base in Denard Span. Here's a 1-1. And again, the Nationals down to their final strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 40,000 plus on their feet. Here it comes. Spoiled by Rendon. And again at 98. $41,518 here tonight. 41518. It's another 1-2 pitch. Now make it 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2. Get him! He struck out the side, and the Cardinals win it again with a shutout. What else? 1-0 here in Game 1. With the home run hit by Matt Adams in tonight's game, a total of $6,500 was raised for prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can go online to homerunchallenge.org. What a game.
We knew we would get good pitching here in this series and here tonight, but we got great pitching here tonight from both Zimmerman, who loses the game with just 76 pitches in 8 innings. Lance Lynn, outstanding for the Cardinals.
Lynn the win for St. Louis. Post game, Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live is next.